This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, very good afternoon to all of you. Can you able to listen my audio and video clearly? If it is clear, please post it in the chat box. Okay. Yeah, thank you. So as you know, from today onwards, you are going to we are going to start your second year classes. Now you are in second year. So let me congratulate all of you for being a part of our core department, that is Electronics and Communication Engineering department. I welcome you all for this second year. As you know, because of this COVID, we are not in a position to see each and everyone, and will not have a traditional classroom environment now. But for few days, we'll go with online classes like thing. If you face any difficulty or any challenges during this online, feel free to discuss with me. And I'm going to take in this semester, for you, I'm going to take signals and systems subject to you. So before going to see the subject in detail, first let me know, how many of you have checked your emails? I request all of you, please check your email. I think 3 or 4 days back, I sent a mail to you. We prepared for this subject. I have prepared a Google Classroom, and I'm going to share it, the classroom code also at the end of this today's session. And I'm going to tell you the procedure and the process also, how we are going to take the classes, and when we are going to plan this exams and all that in detail. And I'm going to share the syllabus also to you, don't worry. I have seen some of your friends are typing syllabus. All those things are there in the Google Classroom. First, please go through your mail and accept the request which I sent from my side. And it is the name is Dr. J. Lakshmi Narayana. With that title only, you'll get a mail, Signals and Systems. You please accept that, join that one, and automatically you will be enrolled to the Google Classroom. And after that, you can see the uh, student side Google Classroom screen, and you can download all the content which I am going to upload it in the website. So before going to start my class, first let me share the screen first, and I'll show you how the Google Classroom will be. Now I'm sharing the screen. Yeah, please have a look. I think, can you able to see all this screen? If it is, if you can see that screen, please say okay in the chat box. Yeah, thank you. Uh, Now this is how your screen, the Google Classroom will looks like. But for you, you don't have this grades part, and you may find all these three: stream, classwork, and people. and I already added all of your mails, which is shared by your CR in this. And in the classwork, already I shared some content like what is the description about signals and systems, course overview and prerequisites, and course objectives and outcomes, and syllabus. All this already I shared. And after that, for every after the completion of every class, I am going to share the PPTs of the respective class also immediately after the completion of each and every class. And we'll conduct the exams also only through this Google Classroom only, which is an online exam or like quizzes and other things through online only. So is it clear to all of you? Is my speed is okay, or you can find any difficulty in understanding? Let me know. If it is okay, you please say okay, or shall I reduce the speed? You please tell me. Yeah, I think anyone, all of you are comfortable with my speed, right? Thank you. Now let us, this is how you can have this screen will looks like. Now my request to all of you is first go and check your email and join in this uh, Google Classroom. And I'm going to share the code also now. In the chart, I'm using the chart box. You please check it, the code of this classroom. Already I shared that the class code also for this subject in the Google Classroom. You please with that code also you can join, right? But one way is you can log in through you check in through your mail and say okay, and other way is you can this. And I have seen some of you, some of your friends have not given your emails. Please share your emails also, right? Is it clear up to now? If it is clear, okay, you please tell in the chat box, you please type okay. Yeah. Now I'm going to start my presentation now. Can you see my presentation? Can you see my presentation? Yeah. Now I'm going to start my presentation. Yeah, can you see me? See the entire screen now? You please put it in the chat box. If you're not able to see, let me know. Yeah. So before going to start my presentation, so in today's class, I'm going to discuss only the introduction part of signals and systems. So in introduction, we'll see what is signal, what is system. In introduction part, we'll see what is signal and what is system, and what are the different types of signals we have, what are the properties of what are the applications of signals and systems. Only we'll discuss only these part, right? Now before going to see that in detail, first, for every subject you should know the importance of learning that. So first try to understand why you are studying these signals and systems. You should know. So signals and systems plays a vital role uh, for electronics and communication engineers, and it can be used in so many applications. We'll discuss all those applications in detail in the coming slides, right? Now, before going to start that, first let us see the course overview. What is the overview of this? This it starts with signals and relation between signals and vectors. First, try to understand. You know, vectors you have studied in mathematics, and signals you have not heard the word so far. But there is a relation between signals and vectors, which we'll discuss in this first unit in this subject. And this represents the description, representation, and classification of continuous and discrete time signals. Now, here, if you observe how we are going to describe the signal, how we are going to represent the signal, what are the classification of signals, and when we go for classification, how we can classify the signals based on, again, we have two types of signals there. One is continuous and discrete. How we can differentiate this? All those things we are going to learn in detail. And this course focuses on mathematical tools like Fourier series, which you may heard in your mathematics Fourier series, Fourier transform, Laplace transforms, and jet transforms, by analyzing the signals and systems and for their properties. We'll see what is what do you mean by analyzing the signals and systems and their properties. We'll see in this class. And it covers the properties of linear time invariant system and ideal filters also. And the course also provides the concepts of sampling and reconstruction of signals. You should know what do you mean by sampling and how you are going to reconstruct the signal. Effects of undersampling, convolution, correlation, all that. Don't worry. Here I am going to bring all the essential topics as an overview. And for this course, what are the prerequisites you need? You need complex analysis and special functions, which you might have studied in your mathematics. And you also need mathematical transform techniques or transformation techniques like Fourier transforms, Laplace transforms, and other transforms, which you might have studied in your mathematics. Don't worry, even you might have not heard these words. Don't worry, we'll discuss all those things in detail. Then, coming to the objective, the basic objective of this course is it required for all electrical engineering related courses. Try to understand why I use the word electrical engineering is, even we are electronics and communication engineers. The origin for electronics and communication engineering is electrical engineering. So if we say your AC, your power, voltage, current, and other parameters, also they are electrical parameters. So even as an electronic student, we come under electrical engineering only. So this subject is very basic subject, essential subject for all electrical engineers, including electrical and electronics engineering people also. Please try to understand that. Then to understand the behavior of signals in time and frequency domain. Now try to understand the behavior of the signal in two domains. One is in time domain and another one is in frequency domain. We'll see what is the use of a signal in time domain and what is the use of signal in frequency domain. We'll discuss in detail. And to understand the characteristics of LTI systems, which means that linear time invariant systems, and to give this gives concepts of signals and systems, and it analysis uses different transform techniques also. We'll see what are the different transform techniques. Already we have different transform techniques like Fourier transform, Laplace transform, jet transform, all that. Each and every transform technique is having its own significance and own importance. We'll discuss all those things in detail. Can you follow me? If the speed is okay? If it is okay, please type it in the chat box. Yeah, yeah, okay, thank you. Then coming to the course outcomes, now try to understand. In the previous slide, we discussed objectives, and now I'm discussing about course outcomes. There is a lot of difference between objective and outcome. Objectives are from the faculty point of view or from the teacher point of view. Outcomes are from the student point of view. That means once after undergoing this course, after finishing of this course, you are in a position to differentiate various signal functions. You can represent any arbitrary signal in time and frequency domain. You will be you can understand the characteristics of linear time invariant systems. You can analyze the signals with different transform techniques. These are the course outcomes of this course. That means once after finishing this subject, you can differentiate various signal functions. You can represent any arbitrary signal in time domain or in frequency domain. You can understand the characteristics of linear time invariant system. You can analyze the signals with different transform techniques. That is the basic objective of this particular course. So these outcomes are from the student point of view. Please make a note of it. So once if you attend all those classes, so you are in a position you can analyze all the signals and you can apply each and every transform technique in detail. Now let us see, you may have all these topics where you may come across. I'm going to show you the syllabus also. So at the end of the, so here you're going to have.
ఏందమ్మా
పాస్పోర్ట్ లేదు
నీయా అయిపోలే 4:30 దాకా 4:30 దాకా ఇంకా గంట ఉంది.
Now let us see. I'll show this syllabus at the end of this session. First we'll see, as this class is an introduction class. In this class I'm going to discuss what is signal, what is system, what are the applications of signals and systems. Only these three topics. Now let us see what is signal. There are so many ways you can define signal. Here I mentioned the main, the most useful definitions for signal. So one way you can define signal is any physical quantity that varies with time, space, or any other independent variable can be treated as signal. That means if you take an example, most of the times when you're writing mathematical equations, you're going to write y equal to f of x. Now, if you observe that equation y equal to f of x, there x is an independent variable and y is a dependent variable on x. So for different values of x, you will get different values of y. And that you can treat it as one signal with some mathematical, in a mathematical sense. So in general, you can define signal any quantity that varies with time, space, or any other independent variable. You can take any variable, but sometimes these signals may be one-dimensional. That means it is having only one variable. Sometimes it may have two-dimensional. It is having two independent variables. Sometimes it may have three-dimensionals also. So we'll see how we are going to use that one-dimensional signal, two-dimensional, and three-dimensional signal in detail in the next slides. Now we can also define another way of signal is a signal is a function of one or more independent variables. Now try to understand one or more independent variables that carries some information to represent a physical phenomenon. Now try to understand here. here you are going to represent a function with one or more independent variables that is having some information. In general, I think some of you, please keep your microphone mute. Some disturbance is coming. Please check it. Yeah. Now, another way of defining the signal is a time varying physical phenomenon which is intended to convey information. That is another way of defining signal. Or you can also define signal is a function of time. Hey, Ramesh, please keep your phone in mute. Yeah, signal is a time varying physical phenomenon which is intended to convey information. Now, this is one way of defining the signal. And simple way of defining a signal is a function of time. So in the time sense, you can define it is a function of time. Now you can also define signal is a function of one or more variables which contain some information. See, so if you observe, the first two definitions are similar to the rest of the three definitions, right? So my request to all of you is you can define signal either with first or in the first or second form, and the rest of the things are similar. Now observe it. Here, when we define this signal, you may type some physical quantity that varies with time, space, or any other variable, something like that. Now, what are the examples of these signals? You may treat voice signal is an example. Video signal, signals on telephone wires. Like that, we have so many examples are there. Let us see if I represent, I am talking now. If you observe my voice in the form of a waveform, that you can treat it as a signal. Similarly, we have a video. Video also, we can treat it as a signal. But if you see the difference between voice signal and video signal, voice signal is one-dimensional, whereas video signal is two-dimensional. So that means here voice signal is having only one variable, whereas video signal is having two variables. And similar signals on telephone wires, again, you can have that. So sometimes you may observe noise is also a signal. Now try to understand why I use the word noise is also a signal. As an electronics and communication engineers, when the information is transmitting from one location to other location, during the transmission over the channel, some noise is added. That also you can treat it as a signal. But the information conveyed by the noise is an unwanted one, which is not required for us. Hence, it can be undesirable signal, which is not required for us. But even though we can treat noise as a signal. So that is how we can define this signal. So in general, you can define a signal which is any physical quantity that varies with time, space, or any independent variable, or you can also define a function of more than one. These two, 1 and 2, are best ways of defining the signal. And the examples are, we can have so many examples of signals are there. Voice signal, video signal, signals on telephones. So now we'll see with some images so that you can understand very clearly. Now see these examples. Some of the basic examples of signals, we have electrical signals. Now when I say electrical signals, you know voltage and current in a circuit. When I say voltage, we have AC voltage is there as well as DC voltage is there. And if you represent those voltages in the form of a waveform, we'll treat it as a signal. Similarly, current, we have AC current is there as well as DC current is also there. So voltage and currents are the signals that are represented in in electrical signal, in the case of electrical signals. And these voltages and currents are used in a circuit. Now coming to acoustic signals, we have acoustic pressure, that is sound over time. And we have some mechanical signals are also there. We have velocity of a car over time. That means when we take the example of a car, the velocity of the car, how the car is moving, the moment you press this accelerometer, when you press it, automatically the speed of the engine will rises, and thereby the speed of the car will increases. That is one way. The moment when you press the accelerometer, because of applying that pressure, and the speed of the engine will gets increases, and thereby the vehicle moves with faster velocity. So that is one example for mechanical thing. Similarly, we have another example for signal, which is a video signal. Now here we consider the intensity levels of a pixel. That means when you take a image or a video that you have taken from a camera or a video, well, now if you see the intensity levels, that intensity levels varies with time, and because of that, you can see the quality of the image depends on the intensity level. Now we see these are some of the basic examples of signals. Now we'll see now observe this waveform. Now I think you know this. The moment you observe this waveform, what is this waveform? Can anyone tell in the chat box? What is this signal? Respond through chat box. What is this waveform? So the class should be interactive. I request all of you to please respond. What is this waveform? Yes, some of you are telling voice signal, some of you are telling sinusoidal form. Oh, good. But this is a sinusoidal waveform. And some of you are telling that it's a voice signal, but voice signal is not like this. Voice signal will have so many ups and downs will be there. So we'll see that voice waveform also in the next slide. But here observe it. On x-axis I made time. On y-axis I made it's a function of time. So I can write this as it looks like a sinusoidal waveform. I can represent this by a mathematical equation, x of t equal to sine omega t plus theta or some sine omega t plus phi. That is how you can represent this. Since you know the moment you observe this waveform, it looks like sinusoidal waveform, and you can write a mathematical equation very easily. But in real time, it is not that easy to represent the mathematical equations for all the waveforms. We'll see how we can represent some basic signals with mathematical equations also in the coming slides. Now coming to the next slide. Now observe these examples. When you observe these examples, here I consider a video signal. Now if you observe this video signal, the intensity variations in an image. I think this is an example of CT scan, which you already know. So for everything, MRI scans and other things. So wherever there is a problem, there you can have the intensity levels will changes. And if you observe the other portion, it looks like black. So this is one example of a video signal. Now, if you observe this is not a one-dimensional signal. It is a two-dimensional signal. This is another. This is one of the example of a video signal. Now we have one more example, biological signals, like we have sequence gene. If you take DNA, if you see this waveform, it looks like a sinusoidal type of waveform. This is the example of a DNA, and this how you can represent in terms of digital form. Now observe this signal. Now, one of you mentioned that the signal is voice signal. Now observe this signal. This is an example of a voice signal. When you see the voice signal, I'll show you immediately after this. At the end of this class, I'll show you the audio signal also with an example. so that you can imagine, you can visualize how why this audio signal will varies like this. Because the moment when you are uttering the words, all the words which you are uttering you will not utter with the same pitch level. Some words you will stress at higher intensity levels, and some words you are going to stress at lower levels. And because of the words that you are using and the emotions that you are having during the speech, and the voltage, the amplitudes of your audio signal, voice signal will move up and down. But if you see that, it looks like the signal should vary with respect to time in terms of crusts, and it looks like crusts and troughs. So that is how this is an example and of speech signal, and this is due to acoustic pressure. So when you are uttering the words over your mouth, because of that acoustic pressure that you are having, this is how it will vary. Now coming to the second picture which is there here, this is an example of ECG signal. So sometimes you might have heard the word electrocardiogram and electroangiograms, EEGs and ECGs, MRI scans, all that. If you observe, those things will look like some types of waveforms. Those things will treat it as a signal. It is having some information. So in general, you can say, if you say this is even though you can see this waveform, it is just simply a waveform, but it contains lot of information. So that's the reason you can also define signal is varying. It is having the quantity that is varying with respect to independent variable, which contains some information. This is having some information. Now, what is the information that is having? If you analyze this, it may have a group of words, or this is having a sentence or something like that. And similarly, this is an example of an ECG of a particular patient, how the variation in PQRST with respect to time. So that is how we can have these signals that we are going to represent in a. Now, if you observe here these two things, they are one-dimensional signals. That means here we are going to take the parameter one-dimensional, and you are going to analyze on the other dimension. You are going to analyze its variation. Whereas if you observe this is not one-dimensional. Actually, you are going to see this direction as well as this direction also, and you are going to analyze it. So that is how we have the difference between video signal and audio signal. Now observe this image. Now if you observe this image, this is an example. You see that it looks like simply it's a car, but when you analyze this, this is an image of a car. If I want to analyze this car, one dimension is not sufficient for me. I need to go for two-dimensional signal. That means in the X direction how it should be, and in Y direction how it should be. Based on that, I need to analyze it. Now see this, you can understand. Now I'm going to represent a graph type of thing along X and Y axis. Now if I want to identify the position here, with the help of two dimension only I can decide that. So anything if you want to change or anything you want to modify on this, one dimension is not sufficient to do that. So you need to go for two dimensions. So all your images, videos and other things, they are two-dimensional ones. Now observe this, the same image which we have taken, the same video, the image of a car, and I changed the intensity levels of the car with some tools like we have image editing tools are also there. Now with that tool, I changed the intensity level. Now if you see that the brightness of the car gets degraded. So that means you may see it is the variation pattern that conveys of the information of a signal. So because of this variation pattern, you are not in a position to identify the actual color of the car now. Signal may exist in many forms like acoustic, image, video, electrical, heat, and light signals. Try to understand. There are so many forms of signals that are existing. So in every form, we can represent, we can analyze the signals through some mathematical equations. Now see this example. Here I considered a simple electrical circuit, which is an RC circuit, which you already studied in your first year, I think. So just I applied some voltage. Because of applying this voltage, as you know, some current is flowing through this circuit. Now, if we observe what should be the voltage across this capacitor, if I want to see, because of the applied voltage, and the variation is something like, it looks like an exponential variation. So this you are going to do some mathematical, there is a mathematical analysis for that. Just I have to write the equation for current, and after that I have to find what should be the voltage across this capacitor, and I can write a mathematical equation for using KCL and KVL, and after that I did this analysis. So for this we need some simulator tools are there. With those tools we will do this. Now try to understand here the importance which I would like to mention here is, you can represent the signal in the electrical sense also. So to understand that, I use this example. Then now observe this example. Now here I consider some of the real-time examples. Now if you observe for the first image, here I consider 4 images. The first image, if you see here, the first image is nothing but a mic and a speaker. Now when a person is addressing in front of a mic, if it is a wired system or wireless system, the speaker which is there at the remote place, and the persons who are sitting near to this speaker can able to listen the words uttered by this person. How that is possible? So once the signal which is uttered by a person here, audio that is uttered by a person, that will be converted in the form of a signal like this. That is nothing but your voice signal, acoustic pressure and all the voice signal, and that is traveling through the channel. Finally it reaches this speaker, and from the speaker again it will convert back that electrical signal to the audio signal, and from the speaker you are in a position to listen that audio. That is how this example here, in between this and this we have a signal, and this signal is varying with respect to time. Now this is the first example. Now see the second example. I think girls, most of you know this. In your home kitchen you're using pressure cookers. The moment when you're heating this pressure cooker, you won't get sound, right? After after some time only you'll get that whistle and all. Why that is happening? I mean, once if the moment you keep it that cooker on a stove, once it reaches to the certain temperature level and everything is ready, then it gives a siren, and in the form of a whistle. That is how this with that whistle you are in a position to understand now everything is ready. Now we need to switch. We need to off that stove, or we need to switch off that. That is another example of a signal. And the third example is, now see this example, which is a thermometer here. Now the moment when you when you measure temperature or anything, heat or anything, now it senses. How it senses? Because of the mercury that is there and the variations of the temperature, automatically it will sense and it displays. That is how we have this signal, the information, because if there is no heat here, it won't sense. So that is how this, because of that, the variation in heat or the temperature changes, automatically you can see the changes in this thermometer. Otherwise you won't find any difference. Now observe this camera. Now if I want to take the picture of this one, now when you take the picture of that, you need to take the camera. It is not now here the signals which you are observing, they are one-dimensional signals. But whereas when you go for camera or video or something like that, now the picture or the signal which you are going to consider is not a one-dimensional one, it is a two-dimensional one. You need to take the x-axis as well as y-axis into consideration, and we need to do the analysis. That is how it should be. Then coming to the mathematical representation, now anything you can represent mathematically by a mathematical equation. Now see, this image is a function of two variables. I represent s of x comma y. That means it's s is a function, and this function is having two variables, x and y. If I vary the values of x and y, automatically the color or the brightness or any of the parameters related to this X and Y will changes, and thereby the image will also get changes. That is how we can define this by a mathematical equation. Now observe this. Now, as we discussed just now, we are going to, this is a sinusoidal waveform. We can represent the sinusoidal waveform like V of t equal to sine t. So here omega I can treat as 1. So the period of the signal is varying from 0 to 2 pi. So this is one-dimensional signal. Now observe this one. This is also a signal which is represented by a mathematical equation S of t. And now try to understand the difference between this and this. For this, you can represent by a mathematical equation very easily. Whereas this, you can't represent by a mathematical equation very easily. And this signal, which we call it as a complex signal, That means directly you can't have a simple mathematical equation like sine omega t or cos omega t, something like that. It is not like that. It's a combination of n number of terms, and when you represent all the n number of harmonic components, and that is how you are going to have this. Anyway, when you see that Fourier series, if you remember, when you're representing the Fourier series, we are representing the Fourier series of a function with some n number of harmonic components. If you plot all the n number of harmonic components, it looks like this. That is how it should be. Then coming to the classification of signals, now we have classification of signals. So based on there are so many ways you can classify the signals. One way is you can classify the signal based on number of independent variables. Try to understand. That means that is based on the dimensions. Suppose if it is having one independent variable, we call it as one-dimensional. Example is audio signal. Suppose if we have more than one independent variable, then we call it as multi-dimensional. Sometimes you may have two-dimensional, sometimes you may have three-dimensional. For two-dimensional, the example is image. And this is one way you can classify the signal based on the independent variables. If it is having one variable, we call it as one-dimensional signal. If it is having more than one independent variable, then we call it as multi-dimensional signal. Then based on the appearance, suppose here based on the appearance, we have two categories of signals are there. One is continuous and the other one is discrete. Now try to understand the difference between continuous and discrete. When I say, the name itself is telling continuous, that means the waveform which you are representing, when you plot it, it should be in a continuous manner. When I say discrete, you will not take the waveform continuously. You will take the samples of the waveform at some specific intervals of time. That's what the difference between continuous and discrete. So now, if you see the example, a signal with continuous independent variables are said to be called continuous time. In general, we can call it as continuous. Now, example for this is voltage waveform. When you see the voltage waveform, AC voltage, if you plot, you're going to draw like sinusoidal waveforms or cosinusoidal waveforms. When you draw the sinusoidal or cosinusoidal waveforms, you are going to draw the sine waveform or cosine waveform in a continuous manner. Means throughout the time you are plotting that. That is an example for continuous waveform. And if you see the example for discrete you are not going to get the waveform throughout the time. You will get the waveform only at some specific intervals. So example, if you see a signal with discrete independent variables is said to be discrete time. Example, stock market index. Now when you see the stock market index, at some particular portion of, if you take a day, at some particular point of time, it is less. At some particular point of time, it is very high. And that means it looks like some bar graph type of thing. That is an example of discrete waveform. Then we may have continuous or discrete dependent variables also. When I say discrete dependent variables, the examples are voltage waveform and digital image. Now the examples for continuous waveform is analog signals can be treated as an example for continuous waveform. Discrete signals can be treated as, or the digital signals can be treated as an example for discrete waveform, discrete value time signal. Now try to understand. Now observe this. You can see the difference. Now see this waveforms. Here I have drawn this waveform continuously throughout the time from -30 to 30 in a continuous fashion. This is an example for continuous time signal. Whereas see this waveform, here from -3 to 3, in between I have so many intervals are there. So many, lot of duration is there between -3, -2 and but I don't find any waveform in between that. That means I'm taking the samples only, I'm taking the amplitudes of the signal only at some specific instance of time. So when you take this information at some specific instance of time, that you can call it as discrete time signal. Now you may have a doubt here. Sir, how you are going to get this discrete time signal from a continuous time signal? It's a simple thing. The technique that we are going to follow is just you need to you take the continuous signal and you sample it. You sample it at some specific sampling intervals. Then automatically each and every sample interval, you take the amplitude and you plot it. It looks like this. So that's what it is. So that anyway, you're going to learn that in the sampling theorem. You will understand that how you're going to convert this continuous time signal to discrete time signal. Then you may have a doubt. Then what is the difference between discrete time and digital signal? When I say discrete time, you are plotting the information only at discrete time intervals of time, whatever amplitude it is having. When I say digital signal, you need to represent the signal in the form of binary, that is either 0 or 1. That is that we call it as the digital signal. So when you represent in the form of zeros and ones, you call it as digital signal. That means for that there is some procedure which we'll see during the discussion of digital signal. Then after that we'll go for system. Now so far we discussed what is signal, what are the definition for signal, how we can represent the signal in the form of waveforms, and what should be the mathematical equation for a signal. We discussed that. Now coming to the system, you can define this system very easily. System is nothing but a system is something which takes some input, processes it, and produces some output or response. That is what the system is. Now see this block diagram. Here I have given some input to the system. In this block diagram, it will process it, and finally it is going to produce some output. Now that means in order to work this system, you need to provide some input. This input can also be called as excitation. And once if the input that is given to the system, you will get some response or some output, that you can call it as the response or the output of a system. Now try to understand here. System is a device or a combination of devices which can operate on signal. Try to understand. So in order to operate the system, it needs a signal and produces corresponding response. So depending upon the input that you are providing, it produces some response here. Input to a system is called as excitation, and the output from it is called a response. Now you can give input. You may give one input or you may give multiple inputs also. So if you see the example, a communication system is an example. There are so many examples of a system which we'll see now. Now try to understand here. Let us take an example of computer. Most of you know this. Why sometimes computer can also be called as system? Can you tell me why you call it as computer as a system? Try to understand. So when you take computer, the moment computer will not do anything, inside this computer we have so many processing units are there, like microprocessor and other system required architecture is there. With that it is going to do all the process, but to do all that it needs some input, right? Let us take a simple example so that you can understand it very clearly. The moment when you are using a system, you are typing some information, you're doing some typing with the help of your keyboard. And the moment when you type it, it is displaying on the screen, right? Now try to understand, the moment when you type A, on the screen it displays A. But will this computer will understand this language A? My dear students, it will not understand the English language, whatever language that we are using. It will convert this whatever words, whatever be the information that you are typing it will convert into ASCII form, and for after that it is converted into the digital one in the form of zeros and ones, and again it will convert back when it displays on the screen. It will convert back into again in the form of, as a human being, we don't know ASCII format, as well as we don't know the zeros and ones. So again, it will the system all that again it will convert back into from ASCII format back to the alphanumeric or alphabets, and it will be displayed on the screen. The moment you type it A, it is again displaying on A on the screen. But how fast it is doing that, it all depends on the system that you're using, what should be the speed, what should be the processing unit that you're using, all that. It will convert all this information and it displays. So that is an example. That's the reason sometimes you will call your computer also as a system. So what it will do, it takes some input with the help of your keyboard, and it displays the output in the form of your screen. Whatever information that you're observing on the screen of a computer or a desktop or a laptop, that output which is displaying in the form of a screen there, but in between that, everything is taken care by the processor which is there inside the computer. So that inside one, which we call it as a system, the input which you are taking it as the input which you are feeding through the system to the system is the keyboard here for in the case of a computer, and for the output which you are observing here, the output is nothing but your screen. So try to understand that. Now if you see this example, now you may take a system, you may have the system with n number of inputs and it will get n number of outputs also. So this based on the number of inputs and number of outputs, we can classify the system: single input, single output, single input, multiple outputs, multiple input, single output, multiple input, multiple outputs. So based on the inputs that you are having, we can classify that like that. Now we'll see that. Now see this example. This is one example of a system. Now you see this camera. Camera is an example of a system. Now what this camera will do, the moment you click this button, whatever image that is there on this at the front side, it will capture it and it will process it. That means with this here we have a processing unit inside it. Then only it will take that, it will capture that image and it stores in the camera. Suppose if you take an example of a system, now the moment you may have observed the one movie of Rajnikant, there is automatically the voice that has spoken by Rajnikant, it will recognize and it will open the screen, right? So that means you have the system such a way that it will recognize our voice and it will start opening also. Such systems you can call it as speech recognition system. So that means the system will understand your voice and it will recognize that as your voice, and then only it will open. Otherwise, it won't open. So that is so that is how you can have this. The input that you are providing, that is a voice. Like that. Now, if you see this in general, we can represent the system in a block diagram form like this. Please hold on 1 minute. I will be back.
Hello.
Yeah, sorry for the inconvenience. Uh, now, if you see the block diagram here, when you represent the block diagram of the signal of the system, so this is how you can represent the block diagram of the system. Just you need to use a block box like this: input signal and output signal. Generally, input signal is represented by x of t, and output signal is represented by y of t, and the system function is defined by, which we call it as transfer function, which is represented by h of t. So here it shows the relation. This shows the relation between output and input. X of t equal y of t equal to, I can write x of t convolve with h of t. So anyway, don't worry, for the time being, we'll see that what is x of t convolved with y of t. So in time sense, we can represent x of t, y of t, and h of t. This is how mathematically we can represent. So you take any example of a system. It is having some input. It will give some output. It will do some process. Let us take a simple example. Most of you know public addressing system, right? The moment if you see this public addressing system, assume that this system is, in the place of system, we have a mic. This input signal is nothing but your voice signal. You are speaking something in front of this. Now, what should be the signal you are going to get here? Now try to understand. The moment when you are uttering the words, and here we have a mic in the place of system, then what is the output signal you are going to get? The output signal which you are going to get is nothing but your audio signal, voice signal, in the form of a waveform, which we'll see, which I'll show you. Now if you see the classification of systems again, now if you see the class again based on the inputs, we have, if it is one input, and with one input, it is called single input system. If it is more than one, we call it as multiple input system. Suppose if it is one output, you can call it a single output system. If it is more than one output, you call it as multiple output systems. Now try to understand. You will have how many combinations you will get? Single input, single output, which you call it as SISO system. SISO system, single input, single output. You may have single input, multiple outputs. Then SIMO system, single input, multiple output. Then you may have multiple input, single output. Then we call it as MISO system, MISO. Then we may have multiple input, multiple output. Then you call it as MIMO system. Then you may have heard the word MIMO. That MIMO is nothing but it is taking multiple inputs and it is giving multiple outputs. Such a system you can call it as MIMO system, and multiple input and multiple output system. That means based on the number of inputs and number of outputs, you can classify this. Then based on the signals that you are applying, suppose if you are applying analog continuous signal, then you can call it as continuous time system. If you apply discrete signal, then you can call it as discrete time system. So based on the signals also, you can classify it as continuous time system and discrete time system. Now see this example, you can understand. Now you try to understand why you should study signals and systems. Now just I discussed what is signal and what is system. Now you may have heard the word. Now see this example. This is a simple telephone connected through a cable wire. Assume that this is a telephone. Now this is a system, and when you connect to a cable, through the cable you will get signal. That means if I know only signal, it is of no use. If I know only system, it is of no use. If I know both signal and system, then only I can analyze the problem very easily. Now engineers build systems that process or manipulate signals. Now try to understand. You can build the systems, you can process it, or you can manipulate the signals also. We need a formal mathematical framework for the study of such systems. Such a framework is necessary in order to ensure that system will meet the required specifications or not. That means whatever system that you are going to design, whether it is going to work effectively or not, also we need to check. If a system fails to meet the required specification or fails to work altogether, negative consequences usually ensue. So when a system fails to operate as expected, the consequences can sometimes be catastrophe. So it is the responsibility of a signal and system engineer. He has to design a system such a way that it should meet the required specifications without having any loss. So this is how you can, as an electronics and communication engineers, as we the students of electronics and communication engineering, it's our primary responsibility to study the importance of signals and systems and its applications thoroughly, and we can apply it effectively. Now let us see the applications of signals and systems. The first application is you can use these signals and systems in control applications. That means when I say control, don't think that it's not our subject. It is not. You can control any gadget or any device. Let us take an example of controlling the speed of a car. How you can control the speed of a car? By reducing the accelerator speed. Accelerator, automatically you can control the speed of the car. So even if you take the same control, if you take the same example in an electrical sense, if you control the entire industry by sitting in a single room, that is also possible through signals and systems. That is one application. Now the second application we can find is communication. So all your communication applications, you can use signals and systems. Then you can see the other applications, signal processing applications. There also, when I say signal processing, sometimes you want to remove the signal, you want to remove the noise from the signal, or you want to add some signal to that, or you want to amplify the signal, or you want to reduce the strength of the signal. All that we can call it as signal processing. So now see the example of a control application. Now industry control and automation is one example. You can control the velocity or position of an object, everything through signals and systems. Example, controlling the position of the valve or shaft of a motor. That is one example. So you can use tools, time domain. Time domain tools. I think some noise is coming. Yeah, let's see. So you can see this industry control automation. You can use this in time domain, or you can use it For time domain solutions or different differential equations, you can use transfer functions. For doing that, we need to use Laplace transforms. So in signals and systems, one of the topic is Laplace transforms. There you can use it. Then signal stability control system, there you can use for stability also you can use this. Then see this example. This is one example, which is a feedback control system. Here we have a controller and we have a plant, and here we'll have the output. That output is sensed again through the help of a sensor. Again, it will be controlled through some reference input. This is how we have the mechanism to control the entire plant. Now, if you see the example of a communication application, now transmission of information over a channel, the channel may be free space or coaxial cable or any type of cable. Now see this. So you have a message signal. You're transmitting that message signal through a transmitter. And this is the example of entire communication system. That means from the transmission to the reception. So you have a message signal and that is transmitted through transmitter, and this message transmitted signal is transmitted over a channel. Here the channel may be wide one or wireless one, and that is passed through the receiver, and the signal which you are going to go to this receiver signal, and this will be converted back to your original message signal. Let us assume that here you are taking an example of a public addressing system. Now, when you take public addressing system, here your transmitter is nothing but your condenser mic, and your channel is nothing but the cable which is connected through the transmitter, and your receiver is nothing but the the speaker. So that is how you can have this. In between, you have one more system that is required, that is amplifier. So you can take the low level amplitude signal and you can boost it up. That is how you can use this. I hope now I'm going to stop at this stage for today's session. We'll see some, as I already told you, we have 10 more minutes time. I'm going to show you the example of an audio signal. Let us see this example. Now I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Now I'm going to minimize my presentation. Now I'm going to use one tool. Just you please check it. Can you visualize it or not? Can you see my screen? Please tell me in the chat box. Dear student, please respond through chat box. Can you see my screen? There I have some tools. Yeah, right. Now I'm going to open one of the tool to show the audio. For your understanding purpose, I'm using this tool. I have a tool named as Audacity. This tool is used for recording of your audio signals. So here, can you see this screen? You please type it in the chat box. Can you see that Audacity tool? Everyone, yes. Okay. Now, can you're not in a position to see this screen? Yeah, I'm going to share it. Yes. Now, can you see it? You please check it. You tell me. Now, you please tell me. Check it and tell me. Yes. Okay. Now, you observe here. Here I'm going. What I'll do is this Audacity tool is a recording tool. Just you observe the waveform. Just I'm going to record some voice through my mic. Very good morning, my dear students. Let me share some important things to you. Thank you. Now, observe it. The moment when you see this, you analyze this. This is a, if I play it, you can, so you can see this portion. If I type it, my dear students, let me share some important things to you. Now, the moment you observe this, can you represent this by a mathematical equation? Now, you please analyze it. As I said, now now I'm going to zoom this portion. Now observe it. Now I'm going to zoom only this part of the thing. Now see this, how it looks like. Now you observe it. It looks like something like sinusoidal thing which is varying up and down in the form of a sinusoidal fashion. So that's the reason we represent this as a signal. Is it clear? So this is a tool which we have. Now I'm going to make this class little bit live from tomorrow onwards. So for that, what I'll do is, first, I request all of you to register in that Google Classroom, and I'm going to share some more links to you. I'll show you one of the tool named as LabVIEW. Please see this tool, LabVIEW. Just I'm going to type from the Google. Now observe it. Here I used one tool known as Signals and Systems Virtual Lab. Now you please, here we have IIT Guwahati is having that lab. It's a virtual lab. Now you please type this Signals and Systems Virtual Lab. Now here you can find so many experiments, signals and their properties, systems and their properties. You please click this. Here we have a simulator. All these simulators that they developed using virtual lab. Now I'll show you this one example. You can have a look of it afterwards. Now I'm going to take the example of demo of signals. Now here you have to click LabVIEW Runtime Engine for Windows. The moment you type it, there is some problem, I think. So here we have a tool. Here I'm going to mention two important tools. One is Scilab, and the other one is this virtual lab. So which we'll discuss tomorrow in the next class. So with this, I'm going to stop for today's session. Thank you. If you have any queries, feel free to discuss with me. I'll be online for another 5 to 10 minutes. You please post it in the chat box if you have any queries, please. Yeah, please, if you have any queries, please respond. If you don't have any queries, please respond, my dear students. Yeah, those who have registered, no issues, Samman. Those who have not registered for Google Classroom, and please register. I'm going to share the material also in that Google Classroom. Yeah, you are telling that all faculties are follow certain apps, sir. What is that app? Zoom. Zoom is not an app, Tali. It's a video conferencing tool. Zoom is just a video conferencing tool. Now we are using GoToMeeting. This is also a video conferencing tool. I am not getting you. Some of you are telling that Zoom and Zoom will allow only 45 minutes time, whereas this GoToMeeting will allow up to 2 hours or 3 hours. It can accommodate up to 250 students. There is no change between Zoom and GoToMeeting. Only thing is, in Zoom we can for every 45 minutes again we need to log in. But here, since we don't have license version, we use demo versions only. Because of that reason, we use this. And we'll have another option also. I'll tell you that if you prefer to have Google account, Zoom account, and Google Classroom is the thing, and even the whatever class that I have now, I recorded that class also, and I'm going to share that the video of that class also to you by tomorrow morning. So we have that facility also here. So with